I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Rutherford County Public Safety, and we're glad to see each and every one of you here this evening for the November meeting. It's good that we can meet a little bit before Thanksgiving and everybody can get this taken care of before they have to go off and to be with the family and all, and good to have each and every one of you here, and those of you that are visiting with us, we're glad to have you with us tonight too. We'll begin first with the approval of the minutes. Mr. Vice Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I have reviewed and read the minutes and found them to be accurate and true and move for their passing forward.
We have the motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes have been approved from the last meeting. I'm going to ask that we suspend the rules at this time. We have a group here from the Farm Bureau that has a presentation they'd like to make. Do I have that motion? Have that motion. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We'll suspend the rules, and we'll ask that they come forward this time, as well as our county fire marshal to do so. This is something pretty special, and it means a whole lot, I think, to the county and to the farmers of this county, and we'll let them go explain. We have our County Farm Bureau President, Mr. Mike Vault. Yes.
You want me to speak and explain?
We'll let you explain.
This is the Farm Bureau is about the staffed county fire stations. This is a grain bin rescue tube. We're not going to unfold it. But essentially, if you have a grain bin, it happens a lot up north. You'll read about 2 or 3 guys dying every year from this. But the grain will crust over on top. They go to removing it. The crust won't go down. Somebody will get in there, get stepping on the crust, and all of a sudden they're sucked into the grain. So this is something we hope you never need. But it has been, I was telling the mayor and I were talking earlier, and I'm sure some of you all remember Dick Mehta, maybe know Chad. His older brother Jim was working at Tennessee Farmers back, I knew Jim in high school. He had gone on to college and was working down there part-time and actually suffocated like this. So we hope you never need it, but maybe the grain, I know a lot of people think there are no grain bins, all the farms are gone, but they're not all gone, and the grain bins are larger. The larger bins lend themselves to this kind of safety thing. So it essentially just fits down over the person where they can grab on and keeps them from suffocating. Hope we never need it. Glad to do it for the county, and glad the Farm Bureau has the resources to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Vaught. Yes, sir. We're very appreciative of Farm Bureau for this addition to our rescue capabilities. These types of incidents can be very tragic. They happen quickly, and without the right tools, can turn out very badly. So this is a tremendous asset for the county, for county fire rescue. Like he said, I hope we never have to use it, but we're happy to be able to have that in case we do need it. So tremendous thanks to you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. These are something that I think that's going to be very beneficial as far as our county, as far as safety is concerned. You know, we all drive by these large grain bins around the county, and we see all these fields of soybeans and that are around here too. This also gives us a benefit of another tool of safety that we can have within our different departments, and we appreciate the Farm Bureau, and I think the young farmers and ranchers were involved in this too, and what they were doing. We appreciate you for doing that for us. Thanks a lot. We'll move now into the Osha Report. And we'll call the meeting back into order for this report. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I'd like to report in the month of October that we had a total of 15 injuries requiring medical attention. That brought the total up to 145 for the year. 106 of those are OSHA recordable. 56 are restricted days, 21 lost time days, and 29 all others. As you look at the next page of the report, you'll notice that we had 145 this year compared to 137 last year and 228 in 2019. As far as the incurred dollars, in the month we had a total of $17,000. That brought the total incurred dollars for 2021 to $484,000. Last year, $714,000. And in 2019 at this time, we had $415,000. On the last page of your report, you'll see that the 15 injuries were broken down 9 for the Board of Education, 6 were in the County General, and the County Generals were broken down across the county for the Sheriff Department, PAWS, and EMS. Are there any questions?
Motion to approve the report. Do I have a second? We have the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Report is approved.
Sir, I'd just like to say tonight's going to be my last night of reporting. I am retiring, and I just want to say thank you to all the residents of Rutherford County, to all the county employees for having given me this opportunity to serve in this position. And I hope that in some way, over the last 14 years, that I've been able to contribute some kind of safety to all the county employees and make Rutherford County a better and safer place. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Dan, I was standing over here. We'll let everybody sit back down, if you would. I have with me something right here that's been written about you, and I'm going to read it. I mean, you just can't leave like that. I mean, it's just not going to get away that way. Daniel Lee Good. Dan Good has been the safety coordinator for Rutherford County since October the 22nd, 2007. On December the 17th, 2021, Mr. Good will be retiring as the Rutherford County Safety Coordinator. Since his first day of employment on October the 22nd, 2007, Mr. Good has faithfully driven from Tullahoma to serve the employees of Rutherford County for over 14 years. Mr. Good has shown exemplary dedication to Rutherford County employees' safety and health. A few of his responsibilities include investigating accidents, injury prevention, training, maintaining, and updating emergency plans and procedures, after-hours calls, monthly and annual Osha reporting, safety inspections, and compliance. Mr. Good was also instrumental in transitioning from state workers' compensation to the county's on-the-job injury program in 2009. Mr. Good has been married to his wife, Julie, for 43 years. They have 2 children, Heather and Chris, along with 5 grandchildren, and he's looking forward to spending more time with them and working on his ever-growing to-do list. We hereby extend sincere appreciation for your dedication and compassion for the safety and welfare of the employees of Rutherford County. Your contributions to the safety program will carry on for years to come. We wish you much happiness in your retirement. Read this 22nd day of November 2021 before the Rutherford County Commission's Public Safety Committee meeting. And Dan, we'll be placing this within our minutes here, and we appreciate everything you've done for us. And you know, you can't beat somebody that's your safety coordinator with his last name being Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Now we'll go into the Recovery Court report. Good evening.
For the Recovery Court report for October of 2021, we had 7 new participants that were admitted, taking our total for October to 145. We had 1 graduate the DUI court during that time period, and then there were 4 who had absconded or self-terminated. During that same time, we've had several people apply that are on a wait list for drug court. We are currently at capacity for that program. We did have Veterans Court graduation last week, and you all will be receiving an invitation for drug court upcoming. A date has not been picked by Judge Turner at this time, but I will keep you all informed. And last but not least on my report, last week on Wednesday, Superintendent Cope was kind enough to allow some of his detainees to come out and play some of our participants for kickball. And I would like to say that it was a good time had by all, but most importantly, it was important for some of the people to see different people in phases of recovery. I know for some sitting there it's just a kickball game, but for those who have 18 months of sobriety, to be there and showing how their lives have changed to people who are inmates in a facility, as well as people who are 2 or 3 months sober in our program, it meant the world to them and can make a difference and a huge impact on the participants, as well as maybe hopefully at least one inmate. And the best part is that we won. I'm a little competitive. So hopefully we'll be able to do more things like that to get people moving into sober leisure activity together. That's the plan. And that is my report.
All right, any questions on the report? Commissioners, we had a really good Veterans Court graduation last week. It went off really well. I think that's the first for our new judge. He did an outstanding job, and it was just something really to, if you had never made one of these, you need to go and see it, because it did turn out really well. And it was something that the stories that they tell and the involvement they have there, this was a first, I think last week we had someone from the Air Force that has participated in the program. This was the first time they were able to put the ribbon on the flag, and we are seeing just a lot of results from these courts and what we're doing over there in probation, and we need to be proud of the fact of how this commission has helped present those programs. Do I hear a motion to approve the report?
I so move.
Motion been made. Commissioner Sanyo. Second? At a second right here. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report approved. Thank you. Probation?
Hello. For the month of October, we terminated, in other words, closed out 141 cases, so 122 people had their cases closed for the month of October. Right now, we currently have 919 active probationers on our caseloads. Those are the offenders that are not incarcerated. We do have a few people that are still incarcerated, serving mandatory time on whatever their sentence is, but actively out and have their freedom. That's 919. In our programs or classes, we currently have 64 individuals. For the month of October, we had 17 complete their program or their class that they were in, and we had 6 individuals that were discharged unsuccessfully. Below, as far as our olive branch, you'll see we had 3 individuals that we were able to help in the month of October. 2 out of those 3 individuals had fallen on hard times, and 1 individual was homeless. I also made a few notes too as far as kind of the news for the month or the activities surrounding that program. We did and were able to provide some toys and snacks to one of our local hotels here. Unbeknownst to us, there were actually 40 children living in that hotel. We didn't know that to begin with, so we actually had the opportunity to go back and do a trunk or treat event that night as well to help give out some candy to the kids that were living there. As far as our financials go, total revenue for the month of October equaled $13,588.20, with the difference of our expenditures for the month of October gave us a difference of $142,645.06. The amount of money in probation fees that was turned over to the clerk's office to be collected on payment agreements equaled $8,525. Those that failed to enter a payment agreement for the month of October Their fees equaled out to $5,747. So far this fiscal year, we've turned over $27,745.95 to the clerk's office to be collected for probation fees. And then so far this fiscal year, we've had $24,035 that has not been turned over to the clerk's office to be collected because of those that have failed to enter payment agreements. And then the total number of indigent cases that we have currently are 14. Otherwise, our Season of Giving program still goes through the end of November, and we've had a lot of outreach from different officials or commissioners or other departments as well, and so far that's going really well, and I'll be happy to report the details next month. That would be my report.
Questions on probation? Motion made to approve. Commissioner Phillips, have a second? Second. Commissioner Sereno. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Report approved. Correctional Work Center report.
A couple of our folks compared that kickball game to the movie The Longest Yard last week, but in the movies the good guys win. So, but congratulations, Coach Trish. We will we'll see you again. First on in our packet here is our meeting for month of November. No real substantial changes. I did want to point out something that's on the third page there, which is a letter that we received from an inmate, and we get these letters quite a bit, but this one really just kind of summed up what we do at the work center. And I won't read the whole letter, I'll let you all read it, but I just want to kind of point out some words and phrases that kind of sum up what we do as far as rehabilitation, education, and faith-based programming. First, just want to point out appreciative, she mentions in here, and appreciative and incarcerated in the same sentence is kind of odd. And then she talks about being allowed to maintain her obligations, such as her bills that she's able to pay on the outside and pay for her children and her child care and things of that nature while she's incarcerated by going to work every day. And then she talks about the reentry phase, which is what we kind of hope everybody really benefits from when they come to our facility. You know, I spoke in Nashville at an event a couple weeks ago, and I said 100% of our population goes home at approximately after about 3 months. 100% of our population goes back out into our community. Those are the people that are shopping next to you at Kroger. Those are the people that are sitting next to you in church. Their kids are playing with our kids in schools. So it behooves us to be productive with them while they're there. A couple other things in here. She just wants to show appreciation for the fact that we're accommodating her to be baptized, which is not something that you hear in every facility, but that's what we do here in Rutherford County between our facility and the jail. So just kind of sums up a lot of the things. I know sometimes when we think about these folks that we are incarcerating, we see them on the side of the road picking up garbage, you know, but there's a lot going on inside both of these, well, all three of these facilities in our county that the general public doesn't know about, and they're positive things, and I just wanted to point those things out. Next is our work release program report. The numbers are down in work release just because we're trying to consolidate. I think we have spread that way too thin over the years and gotten too many different partners, and we've spread our workers out, so we're going to try to consolidate some of those and go back to square one and work with about 3 different work partners and employ just as many people by doing that. Our yearly activity report, as you can see, of course, population's down. It's down across the state, actually. Not always a bad thing, but at some point we're going to see a turnaround on that, and population's going to tick back up, and it's going to do it pretty fast. Monthly worker report for October 2021, you'll notice that we have a total combined savings of $69,352 using inmate labor throughout the county and other municipalities. For the month of October 2021, total trash collected on county roads, county trash collected 12,860 pounds in that month, and then state routes, including the interstates, was 673 bags we collected in the past month. And you'll see some of the money that we have received from the state on those pickups. Last in that packet, I just wanted to mention that I was honored to be able to go down and do it, but our facility as a whole, I know it says me, but that's this really sums up our whole facility and our whole staff. But we were awarded the ACE Awareness Award from the Family Center, and I was able to go down in Nashville and to their yearly luncheon and receive that award. So we were very proud of that. And that sums up the report for the month.
Any questions for the superintendent? We have a motion to accept,
Second.
and we have the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Report is approved, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Juvenile detention report.
Excuse me, good evening. Before you have our report for the month of October, I can report that the checks that were not received prior to this being printed and sent out, we've received the Coffee County check as well as Franklin County, so everybody is completely paid up. Excuse me. I'm pretty excited that we don't have any of our young people that tested positive this month for any of our STDs, and that's unusual. But beyond that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have regarding any other portion of the report. I have a budget amendment that didn't make the agenda, and I know that we'll discuss that in a little bit.
Questions?
Move to approve.
Motion approved.
Second.
Have the second. Commissioner Sereno. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Report is approved. I believe you do have an amendment.
Right, so I'm asking to move $3,100 from within our budget from our other supplies and material line item into a maintenance agreement. This is due to, we had some back and forth with Stanley Integrator on an upgrade that we did, and our billing got mixed up with the workhouse, and by the time we sorted it out, we were short in that line item, and this should take care of that.
Mr. Phillips moves to approve the budget.
Second.
Motion to second. Any further discussion on the budget amendment? Call the roll.
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Is that all?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Public Safety Director. Director Clark.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. On our emergency management activity report for October 21st through November the 15th, we're happy to announce that we had an individual in our office that was able to go to TEMA this week and provide a pilot course for, or participated in a pilot course for managing search and search operations. We'd also like to say congratulations to one of our employees there. Our operations coordinator, Bernard Pike, has taken off a few days due to the delivery of a new baby girl. So one of the things I'd like to do is publicly thank Director Hudgens for allowing his staff to come over and help us during his absence. And so that just shows how well we all work together and help one another during those times. Also, on our EMS dispatch and our communication center, as you can see, we fielded 5,080 calls. That's down approximately 1,500 phone calls into that center. And then also, those 911 calls have decreased just a slight hair of 193, with a total of 3,013 fire and medical calls, which is a decrease of 336 emergency calls that they fielded in that month. I anticipate an increase this month, so it's back and forth. But that's my report, Chairman.
Questions for the Director?
Move to approve.
Motion approved. Commissioner Gurley, second. Second, Commissioner Phillips. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Report has been approved.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ambulance report.
Okay, Melanie nor Denise has anything to bring up. For the month of September, we had 3,800, let's see. Sorry, I was reading the month forward, I'm sorry. For the month of October, we had 3,532 emergency calls, 79 hospital transfers, leaving us a total of 3,611. Now, if you remember last month, we had almost 4,000 calls. So we did about 340 less calls in the month of October than we did the prior month. So I was proud to see that drop off a little bit. Response times are at 7.3. There's still some issues that we're working on. I believe will be resolved hopefully before long. And we had 98 deaths for the month. We received $2,450 of state payments on those investigations. We sent 23 of those for autopsy. Year to date, we've paid $45,080. Year to date, we've sent 116 for autopsies, and year to date, we've paid $227,360. Okay, we've on collections, we billed $1,668,973. We've collected $832,564. Year-to-date collections is at $3,430,734. Our yearly projections are at $10,292,202. Collection rates at 57%. Insurance write-offs is at $548,401, and other write-offs at $369,803. Just real quick on these collections, keep in mind I told you we went to another billing company, and the transition has been really pretty smooth from what the girls are telling me in the office. So I think over time you're going to start seeing the collections improving. On the non-emergency side of the ambulance service, we did 486 calls. They billed $367,485, collected $124,106. Year-to-date collections at $516,364. And there's a typo on the projected yearly collections. That's supposed to be $1,549,092. Mr. Chairman, would you like for us to resend everyone a copy of the revised version on this typo, or are y'all willing to accept this?
We'd like to have a revised version, I think, for the records.
Okay, Melanie, just give me a signal. She'll send it out to everybody.
Okay.
Okay. Percent collection rates at 61%, and insurance write-offs is $164,034, and other write-offs at $41,307. If you flip over to the next page, there was an article about switching over to the 24/72-hour shift. I would really like to thank this committee and Mr. Chairman, Mayor, and honestly the whole entire county commission. This has been a success. It's been a huge recruiting tool for us. At one time, we were fully staffed. I've got one that's been wanting to be a policeman for a long time, and he is moving to the police department, but I hope in the next week or two to have that position replaced. So I'm just very proud. We're probably the only ambulance service in the state that's fully staffed. There's ambulance services just in our surrounding counties have shutting down one or two stations, and this has really been a good thing for us. And so from me to you, I want to thank everybody for approving this and believing it was a it was a risk, but I was very confident in taking it. So just thank you. And on the next page, we had a thank you letter to one of our young paramedics, Christina Juvenile. I'd encourage you to read that one. And I was asked to come speak at the Rotary Club. I'd never done that before. I'm going to tell you, I had a good time. I really enjoyed it. Commissioner Shanto was there, and they asked some really good questions, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And anytime I can go and speak on behalf of the ambulance service, I'm always proud to do that. But I really had a good time doing it. I was also contacted by the Noon Exchange Club about nominating for somebody for Paramedic of the Year, and I'm going to tell you there's not a single paramedic or EMT that I have that doesn't deserve this, but occasionally you have one that does just a little bit extra and doesn't seek recognition or anything like that. And that was Alice Swinford, and I was really honored to nominate her for this. And she's been working on our community paramedicine program. which I have a lot of confidence that Rutherford County will be the first in the state to actually do this. We're a lot closer than we were, and I believe that she will complete the task, and that's why I assigned it to her, and she's been like a bull on it. She hadn't stopped. So I thought she was well deserving of that. And you can flip through and you'll see a picture of me and her in the new exchange. And I have a before and after of a heart attack of one of the patients we had picked up, and you can see the difference after the hospital went in and put a stent. And got one report back from Vanderbilt Fly Flight on a patient we had flown out. And that's my report, sir.
Questions for the director?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
you know, the Rotarian Noon Rotary Club, and you really enjoy the information that Director Hutchins shared with them. They're so happy and to see him.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Any other questions? Move to approve. Commissioner Phillips. Second? Second. Commissioner Gammon. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Approved. Thank you, sir. Fire and Rescue. Fire Marshal.
Good evening, everyone. For the month of October, you have our report in front of you. We had 1 structure fire, 2 vehicle fires, 304 emergency medical service calls, 24 motor vehicle accidents with injuries, 45 without. We had 2 extrications in the month of October, for a total of 581 calls. Next sheet, you'll see our year-to-date incidents. To date, we were at 55 structure fires, 56 motor vehicle fires, 36 natural vegetation or brush fires, 2,889 emergency medical service calls. Among those included 288 vehicle accidents with injuries and 324 without injuries. We conducted 22 searches for lost persons or missing persons. We've had 19 extrications so far this year, and 21 water or ice-related rescues. Total year-to-date for Rutherford County Fire Rescue is 5,609 calls. On the next page, you'll see the year-to-date call volume for the volunteer departments in the county, along with their training hours listed. To go along with the report, you'll see a breakdown and a pie graph on the call percentage. Next page, you'll find the report that we send to building codes for buildings that were damaged by fire. And the next page, you'll find our Fire and Arson Investigation Unit report, which one investigation involved a residential fire that unfortunately involved a fatality on Murray Kitchell Road. That cause is still under investigation. That case is nearing completion. Unfortunately, on the next page, you'll see we had no smoke detector installations, smoke alarm installations for the month of October. We have seen a slight decrease in that. We are still continuing our public education and social media blasts on encouraging individuals. We have had a very long run of doing these installations, so the demand isn't quite as high, I don't think, but we still have a lot of homes that we'd like to get those into. So we continue that program and continue to advertise for that free of charge for Rutherford County residents. And then on the next page, you'll see our illegal or unauthorized burn report for the month of October. And that does conclude the report. Yes, sir. That's a great question. Yes, sir. So during the months, during the winter, cold, dry season months, if you will, drier meaning lower humidity, between October 15th and May 15th, a state forestry permit is required. And then so you would call forestry for that. You go to burnsafetn.org. You can get that permit online as well, or call it in. But there are some exceptions to the permit. So typically what we look at as far as open burning requirements involve, I've got a tree that's fallen or some brush that I want to clear off my property, and then I want to burn to dispose of that. That does fall under the open burning requirements and the need for a permit. We're going out and having roast some s'mores on a fire pit, that is exempt. So warming fires, recreational fires, things like that are exempt from that requirement. And then, of course, at all times, the burning of trash, tires, anything non-natural is prohibited. But that does conclude my report. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Yep. All right, motion made to accept. Commissioner Gammon, have a second. Have a second. Commissioner Sereno, all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Report is approved.
And Mr. Chairman, if I may, I have a grant request.
Okay.
This year, Rutherford County Fire Rescue is seeking to apply for the fiscal year 2021 Assistance to Firefighter Grant through FEMA. Through this grant project, we would be seeking a $900,000 grant for the purchase of a new multi-purpose heavy rescue vehicle. If awarded, this grant would allow us to replace our current aging heavy rescue that has over 90,000 miles on it. The county's match on this grant is 10%, so at a figure of $90,000. That grant period is a couple more weeks to apply, but we are seeking your approval to apply for that grant.
Okay, we're looking for a motion to approve to apply for the grant.
I'll make a motion to approve. I'd just like to say that anytime we can buy something for 10 cents on the dollar, that's a pretty good deal, in my opinion. So go for it, write it up the best you can, and throw it in the hat. So move to approve.
Motion to approve. Have the second. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And one last thing, excuse me, if I may, building on Director Hudgens' Noon Exchange Club experience, we were also approached to nominate a firefighter for their Noon Exchange Club Firefighter of the Year Award. On November 3rd, Firefighter Austin Hill received that award, and we were very proud of him for that. When we received those requests, we put it out to our personnel and then let them nominate their peers. And Firefighter Hill had multiple nominations from multiple personnel in the department, largely due to his activities trying to bolster our volunteer division with Rutherford County Fire. He's put in countless hours and effort to really revamp that program, so we were very proud of his commitment and his work, and we were honored to have him receive that award. That's all I have. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Radio system, anything to report there? Nothing there? All I hear is good so far, so I'd say that's a good report from there. I don't know if y'all have noticed, gentlemen, every one of these reports right here, they're all in the thousands whenever we're talking about responses. Ambulance service was pretty close to 4,000 in a month. Fire and rescue, almost 6,000 when we're looking at that. I think when the sheriff's report comes up, we're in the same situation there. And I think what this is telling us that Rutherford County is pretty good size in what we're doing and what we're having to do. And that's why whenever you go down one of these roads out here, you're seeing flashing lights in some way or other coming at you or going into town or whatever. So that's why we're making some of these efforts and what you're hearing and what they're trying to do out here, because this is an everyday thing. Mayor?
To follow up on that, Mr. Chairman, thank you. After the holidays, please, members, keep that in mind as we start moving towards the budget process, because the number of calls is reflective upon our growth, so it's a pretty good indication that we're going to need more manpower for all of our public safety departments. So those requests, I'm sure, will be coming to me, and then I'll be bringing it to this respective committee. Thank you.
Okay, sir. All right, Sheriff's Report.
Okay, we have no budget amendments to make tonight. What we are submitting is a budget report. After reviewing this, everything appears to be in order for where we are at this time. Those items where percent remaining is low is where we have encumbered the money for the year. So you want to move for approval on that?
Just do the rest of it.
Okay. To kind of give you an idea, we've had 5,113 tested in our inmate facility. We've got 0 COVID cases today in the facility. Unfortunately, I've got 6 deputies that are out with COVID at this particular time. 2 actually were added today, so we still are seeing some small cases, but still seeing COVID cases within our employee body. We're starting to see our numbers increase. We have 682 inmates today. We had actually at the beginning of the year gone down to 535. So we're now starting to see that growth that everybody is seeing coming back. We're down to 62 state inmates right now, but that has slowed down as far as what the state is taking, so I think that we're going to start seeing that increase also. Prior to COVID, we were running about 868, 870, and so we're now starting to see that creep back to that level, so I suspect in the coming months we're going to see that continue to increase. As far as the courthouse, banner month last month, we screened 35,000 people coming into our courthouse. That's the biggest month that we've had so far this year. Back in COVID and pre-COVID, coming out of January, February, it was down to 2,000 and 4,000 in February. So we're now starting, because the courts have opened back up, we're starting to see that influx also. We've transported almost 11,000 prisoners so far this year, and so those numbers are starting to increase. As far as call volume, we're averaging about 7,900 calls a month that's coming in. We're calls for service. We're dispatching on approximately 3,000 where there actually a physical car has to go to the location for some type of action. So that pretty well covered in our drug world. We've had 137 overdoses so far this year. We've had 20 deaths through October, and we've had to apply Narcan 79 times through the month of October. Unfortunately, drugs are alive and well, so we're still working in that area. We've had some very good cases in drugs in the last few weeks. We're not really able to go beyond that right now because the investigation is still going on, but that should be reported in the coming months once the investigations are concluded. So some pretty big drug deals have gone down. That's my report, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Any questions to the sheriff? Motion to approve. Commissioner Phillips, have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Sereno. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you,
Report's
gentlemen.
approved.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Calls report.
Good evening. You can see from the month of October, we had 528 animals come into the shelter. We had a live release rate of our dogs of 91%, cats were 94.7%, and when you factor in wildlife, our overall live release rate was 92%. We had 191 animals that were reclaimed through our surgery programs and 64 cats that were released through our TNR program. Our officers were able to complete out 1,834 calls for the month, traveling 12,049 miles. Fiscal year to date, we've had 2,140 animals in the shelter. Our live release rate overall is 92.1%. The officers have closed out 6,930 calls, traveling 48,784 miles. As far as rabies exposure and bite report, we had 30 bites reported for this month. None were sent for testing, and we had 7 other exposures. None of those were sent for testing as well. And then the last page of the report is just the graph that I give you also. Visually, you can see the live release rate versus euthanasia rate and other outcomes. And those are my reports, sir.
Any questions on the Paul's report? This quiet group tonight. Y'all already tasting the turkey or something, or what? Have a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
We have the motion to approve. Commissioner Sereno, have a second.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gurley. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Motion of the report is approved. Yes, sir. I believe you have some other.
Yes, sir. The next item that I have is a budget amendment. We're asking to move money. The first part of the budget amendment is moving money that was reserved at the end of last year from a grant and redistributing that to lines in this year's budget. The second portion of this is to recognize funds received from the Animal Friendly Grant and put that over in our drugs and medical supplies to help pay for spay and neuter surgeries. So it's no county money, it's just reappropriating money from grants.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve the grant. Second. Budget amendment. Have the second. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon, Chairman Reed.
Yes. Approved. Yes, sir.
The last item that I have is one that we have a problem and have been having a problem. We come to you tonight seeking a solution. I've spoken with HR on a couple different occasions. We've spoken with the mayor, and we've done a lot of different things to try to recruit employees into our office. At one point, we had about a 22% vacancy rate. Right now, we're still sitting at about a 14 or 15% vacancy rate. Some of these positions that we've had open, we're not, if we get applicants, if they show up, typically they're hired. Typically, though, they won't show up even if they do apply. So what we're running into is positions that have been vacant for quite some time that's putting a lot of stress on the rest of the department. What we're asking to do is to reclassify some positions within the department, and it would be taking 3 part-time positions and making those full-time. So hopefully we would open those up to get some additional candidates. And it also would be to take some stress off of our shelter supervisor position, which is a position that just became vacant as well, and it was just due to the stress of how many folks they have to oversee. Sonia has done a lot of work figuring up different things, and due to some of these vacancies, right now her figures are showing we would be a little bit of money short. I think it was around $4,000 from the figure she showed me earlier, based on what we have available from vacancies and whatnot. So I would like your permission to reclassify those 3 part-time positions to full-time positions. I think we will end up being okay at the end of the year. Typically, we do turn in money. However, there would be a chance, depending on what health insurance they take, or if I have additional folks leave that we have to pay out, which is what's occurred for the first 4 months of this fiscal year, that we might be short. So I'm asking for your blessing to go ahead and do that and do some restructuring of the department to get us some relief.
I move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
We have a second on the request. Call the roll.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes.
Thank you all for your support. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll now go into other business. There was a motion that's been passed to us from property management, and I'm going to let the mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, if you'll follow with me, this won't take too long, but this motion comes from property management, and let me give you a recap just to refresh your memories. We've talked about this. So originally back in July, the commission authorized me to move forward with the purchase of the State Farm building, authorizing me up to $25,500,000. We gave it our best shot, and the company, JDM Properties out of Arizona, actually, instead of our 25.5, State Farm's 24.5 to buy themselves out of their 7-year lease, to cobble together, came up pretty close to $50 million. When I met with the executive CEO for JDM week before last in Nashville, it came down, he wanted somewhere between 80 and 90 million. I told him we were out. So that 25.5, if you recall, we got 32 million in the American Recovery Fund, okay? And we were going to use that 25.5, and we're reserving a couple of extra million to make the move into the State Farm building if we were successful in making that purchase. So at the last commission, because it fell through, I asked to withdraw that letter of intent for the 25.5. So that brings us back, and then came back to you and said, what we'd like to do is give our $2,000 per employee, general fund employee, not schools, $2,000, $1,000 for part-time. So if you subtract, it came out to about, once we got Sonia and Lisa to figure out, it was a little over $4 million that it was going to cost us, because we were paying net, no taxes. It was a straight deposit of $2,000 for our employees and $1,000 for part-time, and we paid the taxes. So if you subtract the $4 million from the 32 that we originally got, that brings us down to about 28 million, okay? So we were planning on building the first public health and safety building with that money in Rockville. So now that we're back flush with this 25.5, almost, if you subtract the 4 million, we've got 28 million from the 32. Are you with me so far? So we've got 28 million sitting there. And so that gave us the ability to move forward with the PBA, who has been working with not one, but two. They decided to bring in, since Rock City was the one, the builder chosen by PBA to build Rockville. And so now we're back on task, and we said, how much do you think we can build all 6 of our locations? So looking at that, they felt like that we first started out with an estimate of 4.5 million, somewhere between 4.5 and 5.4 million it would take to build it. Well, that was back in the summer, and of course supply chain issues, prices on steel, prices on lumber, prices on everything has escalated just in the last 6 months. So now they're looking at, the first figure we had 2 weeks ago was 6.1 million per location. I told them that wasn't going to work, put the pencil to it. They've come back somewhere between 5.3, 5.4 million. However, that does not include any locution, which is instrumental. I think both public safety, fire, feels like that it's best that we go ahead and put that system in. It's more expensive on the first location, and it's cheaper. What IT tells us is 300-something thousand on the first location, drops down to about 150 for every location after that. So that brings us to around 28 million. What do we do? If you add the money back into it, that brings us almost back to 6 million, what it's going to cost us by the time we furnish it with locution, the radio systems, and the FF&E. Well, 6 times 6 puts us way over budget. We don't have the money. So if we go with 4, we think that we can compete and get with 4. It was suggested by the architect that we bring in the second highest rated contractor of American Constructors and divide it up, and we'll have two contractors. Rock City will build two, and American Constructors will build two, or at least give us pricing on it, final pricing, and see which one comes back the best. So we've got two good quality contractors that will be competing on price. And it may end up we go with two, or it may come back if American Constructors comes back and sharpens their pencils, then we may end up with one that can build all four, okay? So Almaville, we have an issue right now. So Almaville is, in talking with Mike Hughes, Commissioner Gurley's having soil issues where the old building is, and we have right behind that building where the fire truck is located is the convenience center, and it rolls down into a creek. So we have some environmental issues, and we're trying to figure out, because there's not enough soils at that location. So that puts us on a pause position with Almaville until next June. That gives us an opportunity to see what engineering can work out or find an alternate location. With the commitment that we're still moving forward with Almaville, and the second would be Christiana. Talk to the fire chief folks out there. They're good. They don't mind waiting for another 6 months until the second tranche of money comes in of $32 million. So that would bring us back to moving forward with Rockville, Kittrell, Las Casas, and Walter Hill, with those 4 locations. So what I'm requesting tonight for you, as we did in property management, and it passed unanimous to send it on here, I would like to have both committees pass on this, and then we send it on to budget and then to the full commission for December to allow both these contractors to start working and sharpening their pencils to get it down. So what I'm looking for from your committee, Mr. Chairman, is as the motion was made in property management, allowing PBA to work with both contractors up to the $28 million that we have on hand that is currently held downstairs in trust. So that would put us in that position. So that kind of brings us to where we are, kind of in a nutshell. And if we could, now I'm sure we'll have discussion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Gurley.
Yeah, I know we cannot build them all right now. I really think to me, the fairest way to go about who we should build first is who's doing the most work. I have to stand up for the volunteer fire department that's out there with one. The Almaville location will be in the new district. If assuming I run again for commissioner, that will once people think it is right now, but it's not, but it will be, because I get calls about the convenience center all the time. But Station 2, of course, is in the 9th district right now, and you know, all you got to do is look at the report and see what those guys do. And I know the potential. You know, I used to ride the school bus to Almaville School. I know what's there and what's been there for years and years, and the lay of the land and the potential problems. It may be that we have to find another location out there, try to find someone who would generously donate a couple of acres or something another. But really and truly, I want a commitment from this body to build. If we're going to go ahead and build, say, you know, Las Casas or Walter Hill or wherever we're going to build right now, then I want a commitment to follow through, and I don't want to see Almaville not get a facility out there, because, like I said, if you look at the reports, next to our paid guys they do the most work, pretty much. And I just want a commitment out of this body to make sure that they don't get slighted and that area doesn't get slighted, because, you know, we're right there a half a mile from I-840. You can get on and go. State Route 102, 840 is half a mile from where we're proposing to build that station, or somewhere in that area. And it's a good location. It's a growing part of the county, and I mean, I've been for this all along, and so on. But I just wanted to make that statement.
Might I follow up from some discussion, Commissioner Gurley, at property management, and as mayor, I will tell you, my intent is to make sure that we get those other two, okay? Now, there was some discussion, Commissioner Dodd was concerned in property management about committing to funds that we have not received yet. So I get that side of the argument, but I think the intent is that we build all six, to be fair, because I think that's the way that we've talked about it in setting up response times out in our rural areas that will provide better protection and will provide quicker response times to our citizens in those rural areas. And that's definitely, I'm committed to doing that. I'm not sure that you all want to go on the record of committing something you don't have and get criticized for it, but I think if the general consent of this committee that we send on with property management's unanimous vote to the budget committee, then I think we'll get it.
I think the intent of the full commission is that we build all six. I think that was the overall general motion that we have had in the past, and I think that's something that we'll continue with. And you're totally right, Commissioner Gurley, that we need to let those individuals out there that station will be built at some time, as well as Christiana too. And that same sentiment was said the night of property management, because I was here when it was discussed. In fact, I was called forward to give that information. We got to remember that these stations not only just have fire in them, they also have ambulance in them.
And a sheriff's
office. And that they called forward to property management. They called our director for EMS and got his opinion on all this too. So it's important that we remember the total purpose of these stations. It's not, they were not picked just because we're going to put fire there. It's because the fact we got to have EMS there. We're also going to put a place for a sheriff deputy to drop in and be there every so often to give that presence in those communities too. And you're totally right that I think it should be the goal of this committee in particular as public safety, that we're not dropping those off, just say, okay, drop them off and forget them. That's not the purpose. Their purpose is that, yes, when we get to the point where we can use that money, those monies will be there and go that direction. And this is just where we have been left, where we've got to do, we got to use it saving those funds and going that direction. Mayor, you have?
Yeah, it was brought up at property management also, concerned about staffing. And I think we had Director Hudgens, he came up, we talked about fire. I think that he says he can commit to 2 today if we had them. Director Hudgens couldn't. So we can staff the EMS as we know it today. And I think there's some grant money available for firefighters, I believe. 30, was it? Guys, do y'all remember? 30 firefighters that we could get to make sure that we staff, or we're not going to build them, they're going to be empty, you know, but it's going to take 18 months, so that'll be into, if we get started with architects and break ground in January, then it'll be 18 months from that time.
Mr. Phillips?
Mr. Chairman, I put that in form of a motion, the same request that came out of property management to forward on the budget, up to $28 million. That would be my motion it would be exact same motion repeated from this committee from property management up to $28 million.
Okay, we have that motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Commissioner Gurley. Any further discussion? Call the roll.
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips,
Yes.
Commissioner Cerino,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. All right, other business. I thought Commissioner Gurley was going to bring something else up there.
You're dropping the mic, he was leaving the room.
I've got to bring this forward because I've had too much discussion on. There's been discussion brought to me concerning, I think there are 65, is that not right? Our HR director, names that did not get premium pay. Is that correct? Is that correct? 62. Well, I had 3 over there. I'm sorry. But I have received a letter even to the point of a request saying maybe we ask the budget committee to take a look at those. And gentlemen, if it's okay with you, just as a motion from this committee asking them to look at those individuals and possibly see that they can possibly also receive it.
Mr. Chairman, I thought that's the way it left the full commission at the last full
That's
commission
the way
meeting.
I thought too, but
Was the budget was going to review, that was my impression, that budget was going to review those individuals and determine what, if not all, which ones did not could not be justified.
could not be justified.
And
That's right.
I do not see any problem in justifying any public safety person that falls in that category. I looked at that list, and you know there may be half a dozen on that list that you may have to think a while to justify, but that's you know it's not the majority of that list that you have any problem really justifying in my mind. But we could go back and look at if we need another motion or something, to ask budget to do that, that's fine. I'll make that motion. But I thought we left it in full commission as when we left full commission meeting last month to have budget go back and review those individuals on that, 62 individuals on that list.
I'm basically saying just to reaffirm.
I'll make a motion that we re-emphasize to budget the need to review those 62 members on that list, employees on that list, and greatly consider giving premium pay to them.
I'll second that, but I just want to add a sentence. I don't have an issue of giving any of those people this increase. I don't believe Commissioner Gurley does either. The money's there. It's in the budget. And like I said before, it easily can be taken out of unspent salaries from all the departments to do this. Now, maybe, you know, you're a deputy chief, you're this, you're still essential, you're still part of it, you still got a command, but there's a lot of lieutenants and captains in this thing too, across the board with ambulance service and everybody.
Mayor?
I think that's a good point, Commissioner Gammon, and I think Commissioner Gurley, the intent of the commission, the way I understood it, was to move forward. Budget, they haven't talked to me. Of course, Commissioner P's been a little under the weather with his wife and himself, and there hasn't been a meeting to my knowledge, and I guess, I don't know if they're going to wait and bring it up that night to discuss it, but outside of elected officials, I thought the intent was to give everybody premium pay. Now, what Ms. Nolan will come back and say that there's actual wording in the bill that says that anybody over 150% of whatever the standard going labor rate is doesn't qualify. But what I was gathering from the sentiment of the commission was
it really didn't matter if the money, if we can't take it out of the American Rescue Plan COVID money, then to take it out of the general fund or find it, like you were saying, in those unspent positions that different departments have and culminate together. So I think that's what we need to discuss.
That's what I'm basically saying. We reaffirm as public safety for that purpose.
Commissioner Gammon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gurley,
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips, Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Chairman Reed.
Yes. Okay, reminder, the next meeting is December the 20th. That's a little different from what our normal is. It's actually the third Monday night. That gets you before Christmas to get this out of your way and get it taken care of. Appreciate everyone being here. Hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. We're adjourned.